Okay, we get all that. Column 5. Let me out of this world here. Let's see. He has apportioned the lots of all living beings according to the Spirit on the day of the visitation. Catch column 5. And this is the rule for the men of the community, those freely volunteering to turn aside from evil and hold fast, hold fast, hold fast, hold fast. How many times have I heard that word hold fast in this literature? Maybe 30 already? To all he commanded, we get it. And they shall, here we get, now we're starting with that separation. Separate from the assembly of the men of unrighteousness. And then by column 8, it's going to be separate from, the men of the pit and go into the wilderness. And we already heard it in the going into the land of Damascus. Here where these things converge. In order to be a community of Torah, in the other document, what was it? A house of Torah, was it? And common possessions under the authority of the sons of Zadok. Now here is the definition of the sons of Zadok, a little different from the Damascus document. The priests who are keepers of the covenant. So they are the covenant-keeping priests. That's what a son of Zadok is. It's not a genealogical definition, is it? It's a qualitative definition. There are lots of priests, but these have to be the keepers of the covenant priests. So keepers and sons of Zadok are synonyms. You got me? And it will be repeated in further down here, like line 9. Who are the priests, the keepers of the covenant, and the seekers after his will and according, etc. That's who the sons of Zadok are in the community rule. Sons of Zadok are in the Damascus document. Look on column 4, and you'll get it repeated to you. Oh God. So they will do truth together with humility, justification, judgment, love of piety, modesty in all their ways. On the contrary, in the community, he will circumcise the foreskin of his desire and stiff-neckedness in order to be a lasting foundation of truth for Israel and an everlasting covenant in order to make atonement on behalf of all the volunteers for the sake of the holiness of Aaron and the house of truth in Israel. The joiners, there's the Novim again, which we had in the Damascus document for our community, for struggle, for judgment, to condemn the lawbreakers. James, he who breaks one small point of the law is guilty of breaking it all. Be a keeper, not a breaker. Be a doer. This is the essence of all their ways. Even this tires me out. Let's see if we can move along here. Anyway, again, line 10. Separate from all the men of understanding. From all the men of unrighteousness, walking in the way of evil. They are not to be reckoned in his covenant. They have not studied his laws to know the hidden things of which they've gone astray. I don't know what the hidden things are, but there may be some special things there. Kindling the wrath for judgment and the avengers of vengeance on the curses of the covenant to execute upon them majestic judgments of evil destruction without remnant. Okay, man, we get it. We get it. How much of this can we take? I don't want to skip any because you'll think that you're missing something. Rather, he should distance himself from that kind of person and everything as it is written. Keep away from all things that are lying. Okay, so again, Peter's tablecloth. Peter learns that he should not separate holy from profane and not call anything unclean. This group is keeping away still. No man shall acquiesce in any matter of the Torah or judgment. He shall not eat anything by means of these backsliders' purse or drink or take anything from their hands whatsoever. They shall separate from all those not reckoned in his covenant. So we're getting more and more of the separation ideology. No man of holiness shall contract any unclean work, for unclean are those who do not know his covenant. Oh my God. And anyone who is contempt for his word will be eradicated from the world because of all his works are unclean before him and all possessions are polluted. Jesus says nicely, I guess, in the Synoptics, man shall not be known by what goes into the mouth. That just goes out through the body and down the toilet bowl. But the words that come out of the mouth, these are the things that determine a man. He said these things, declaring all foods clean. Well, that is not what's being said here. And when someone enters the covenant to do according to all these laws, to become one with the holy assembly, they shall examine his spirit in the community, one man towards his neighbor, love his neighbor, respect his mentality, his works of the Torah, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. God, let's get on with this. So that each man will obey, line 23, his fellow, the man of lower rank, the higher rank. I can't keep going in this. Column 6. In these rules they shall walk whenever they dwell, each man towards his neighbor, and the lower to obey the higher. You see, the lower obeys the higher and work in person. None of that grumbling you get in the Pauline corpus about the leadership, both in 2 Corinthians, in Galatians. Paul is always grumbling about the leadership. They shall eat in common, pray in common, deliberate in common. That's kind of community similar to what Christianity pictures itself as being in Palestine, but with a much more, severe, conservative approach. And it shall be when they prepare a table to eat, the new grapes to drink, the priest shall stretch out his hand first to bless the first fruits of the bread. And the many shall keep vigil together for a third of all the nights of the year to read in the book and seek judgment and pray. So they shall stay up a third of all the nights of the year. And I think that's also in the Quran. I don't have the exact parallel where Muhammad says they shall stay up a third of all the nights of the year studying the Quran. Anyway, you're supposed to examine his spirit and his works. I'm moving here. It starts mentioning a new character, line 20 of column 6, the overseer or the mibakir. He will also be mentioned in the Damascus document. He takes care of, he's like the bishop. He takes care of the property of the many. The rank and file are called the many, the Rabbim. R-A-B-I-M. So, hey. He's mentioned the care is also mentioned in the Damascus document, but those later portions, those legal portions. And we could look at that and see. We don't have time for that. You can read those later portions. They're pretty straightforward, nothing special that would puzzle you. He's supposed to be, they give his age, and he shall examine everyone, and he shall, know all the languages. He shall know all the languages of earth. He shall speak in tongues. And that's a play off of speaking of knowing all the languages, the Sephulte in Hebrew language is tongue. So when everyone speaks in tongues at the beginning of Acts, that plays off the Mibakir's abilities in the community role. So here's some punishments. The Mibakir hands these out, the bishop. He shall not touch the drink of the many until he has completed the